It's where we go hard. 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 Yeah. Welcome to that country, yeah, that white and blue and blue.
Shalom. My name is Yashar Yehuda, and the title of this video today is Follow Christ's Example, WWJD. Again, follow Christ's example, WWJD. All right, so everyone should be well aware of the anagram WWJD. What would Jesus do? So many Christians, they used to walk around with little t-shirts and bumper stickers with WWJD. And so let's see if they actually live out this little saying here. What would Jesus do? Let's see if the Christians actually keep this. All right, so many Christians, they misconstrue what Yahusha stated in Matthew chapter 22, verse 36 through 40. So let's get that verse. And it reads, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Verse 37. Yahusha said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. Verse 39. The second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So this is known in the text as the royal law in the Bible, as the royal law. All right, so many Christians think because Christ said the greatest commandments were love Elohim and love your neighbor, that he did away with the other commandments, which of course, as you're going to find out, is a fallacy and is error. Christians should be better termed the 9 commandment keepers. So instead of being called Christians, they should be better termed or called the 9 commandment keepers, because most of them blatantly reject the 4th commandment, which of course is remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And that word holy is kadash, and it means to observe or set apart as holy. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, or observe it as a holy day. That is the commandment that we're given by the Most High. And Christians, they just willfully reject this commandment, the 4th commandment. So that means that they would admit to keeping 9 out of the 10 of the commandments that was given in Exodus chapter 20. Okay, so that takes us back to the pick. What would Jesus do? Or what would Yahusha do? All right, so scripture is clear concerning what he actually did in his life in the Acts of the Apostles, the four Gospels that we have. So we're going to get one of the scriptures, which is John chapter 14 and verse 15. And here we read that Yahusha states, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Okay, so Yahusha or Jesus didn't follow just two commandments, as we read about in Matthew chapter 22, about the great commandments: love your neighbor and love the Most High, or love God with all your heart and with all your soul and all your mind. So again, he did not just keep two of the commandments, as some misconstrue and misrepresent him and say, we keep the law of Christ, and all we need to do is love our neighbor and love God. They say that love is our law. This is the new law now for the Christians that they claim. However, we have the book of Hebrews that gave the statement of Yahusha. He said, "Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O Elohim." So right here we see Yahusha or Jesus stating that he came in the volume of the book. He didn't come in part and parcel of the book, but all of the book. So Christians cannot just cherry pick and take pieces and parts that they like and disregard the other parts that they have trouble with, or they have a problem or issue with. They have to keep all of the book, all of the law. As Yahusha clearly stated that he came in the volume of the book. So again, we see that Yahusha taught keeping the entire law, and he taught against the Pharisees, which are whom diminished Elohim or God's laws to exalt the traditions of the elders called the Mishnah. Okay, so we have an example in scripture in Matthew chapter 15. All right, so this is Matthew chapter 15, verses 1 through 6. So let's get that. And it reads, "Then came to Yahusha, or Jesus, the scribes and Pharisees." Now the Pharisees here are the people that Yahusha charged with breaking the commandment of the Most High in order to keep their own vain commandments, or the commandments of men. All right, so again, let's read that, and it says, "Then came to Yahusha scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do your disciples violate or transgress the tradition of the elders?" That's called the Mishnah. "For they wash not their hands when they eat bread." But Yahusha answered and said unto them, "Why do ye also transgress the commandment of Elohim by your tradition? For Elohim commanded, saying, Honor thy father and thy mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death." Verse 5, "But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift." And that word for gift there, that is korban. Korban. It is korban, or a gift, "by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. And honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free from having to honor his mother or his father. Thus have you made the commandment of God or Elohim of none effect by your own man-made tradition." So we see that the Pharisees here are guilty of holding man's tradition of their own law called the Korban, which is money pledged to the Most High or Elohim, which that money cannot be used to help even their own parents if their own parents were in need. This is exactly what Christians do by rejecting the Sabbath day in place of the so-called first day of the week, Sunday, and reverencing that day. And again, we see Yahusha clearly said they make the command or the commandment of Elohim of none effect by keeping a separate day, which is Sunday, holy, that God never ever commanded to be kept holy. So God never commanded us to keep the first day of the week, so-called Sunday, as holy, as the Christians blatantly and willfully reject keeping the Sabbath day, but they keep the first day of the week. And they say they do it in honor of the resurrection of Yahusha, which is also fallacy because he did not raise up from the grave on the first day of the week, or so-called Sunday. Okay, so scripture is clear about the way Elohim or God feels about those who violate his laws like this. All right, so let's take a look at Matthew chapter 5, verse 19. All right, so we're gonna go 5:19 through 20, and it reads, "Whosoever shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." Going down to verse 20. "For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." So here we see that those who willfully break the least commandment will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now, the Sabbath is one of the top 10, one of the big commandments. So these people are breaking the law of keeping the Sabbath day, the fourth commandment, which is not one of the least commandments, but the Most High here, Yahusha here states that you can't even break one of the smallest commandments and think that you're going and willfully break that and think that you're going to enter into the kingdom of heaven. Okay, let's get the next scripture, which is going to be Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. And it reads, "For if we sin willfully after we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins." So we see that we cannot willfully reject the laws of the Most High. We cannot just pick and choose which one we want to keep and which one we don't want, and think that we're going to enter into the kingdom of heaven. You can't do it. We have clear scripture that tells us and speaks against the people that try to take on such actions. So, in closing, this video is a rebuke to the Christians who think that they can cherry pick which laws of Elohim or God that they want to keep and which ones they feel comfortable throwing away. However, if you throw away God's laws, he will throw you into hell fire. So let's get Matthew chapter 7, verse 21 through 23. "Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, or Adonai, Adonai, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Verse 22. Many will say to me in that day, Adonai, Adonai, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. So iniquity in that verse, in the Greek, in the Strong's Concordance is G458, and the word is anomia, which means lawless. So right here it's telling you that if you are lawless and you expect to enter into the kingdom of heaven, you will be rejected. You cannot break the least of the commandments. You can't willfully reject any of the Most High's commandments that he's given us. What would Jesus do? We see many examples that he entered into the synagogue, into the temple on the Sabbath day. He kept the Sabbath day. He kept all of the law. He said he came in the volume of the book. He said he came to do his Father's will. And that is the commandments. We are to live by the commandments. The scripture says that these laws are to be the apple of our eye. So don't let Christian pastors lead you into hell by having you to willfully reject certain laws. So let's get a couple of clips and then we'll be done. So the first clip I want to get is Creflo Dollar here, rejecting the law.
We talked about how the law stirs up sin. We looked at that. So if we Christians hope for victory over sin, we shouldn't have any relationship with the law, not even the 10 Commandments. If we should hope for victory over sin, we should not have any relationship with the law, which is over 600 of them. And also not even the Big Ten. Not even the Big Ten. Oh, I know that just picking your tradition out. Not even the Big Ten. Because Jesus died to free me from the Big Ten.
All right, we've got another clip from a pastor, a female pastor, and it's also rejecting the law and thinks that we only have to keep 2 laws.
As Jesus Christ, when he came on the scene, he gave us 2 commandments that brought in all the commandments of the Lord, which was to love our God and with all our heart, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves.
So, people, what would Jesus do? You have to remember that Romans 6:23 states, the wages of sin is death. And what is sin? Sin is the transgression of the law, not transgression of 9 out of the 10 commandments, but transgression of the law, period. Don't let these people lead you to hell. Don't let them lead you to be antinomian, lawless Christians, which God is going to spew out. In the book of Revelation, he said, I would rather you be hot or cold. Don't be lukewarm. You can't be keep to or hold to some of the commandments. That's lukewarm. You keep them all or you reject them all. So again, shalom, and come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, as well as the faith in Yahushua, as Revelation chapter 14 and 10 through 12 states. Shalom.